Hi guys, Whitney here. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to give it a little bit of time for people to file in. And let's see, if you would just make sure your video is turned off and your mic is turned off, because sometimes these get a little crowded in here. And while we're waiting, I just want to make sure everybody finds their chat box. So if you have a question at any point in time during today's presentation, go ahead and jump on over to the chat box, type in your question. No need to hold it, even if it's just kind of an off-the-wall question and ask me anything. What we'll do is we'll go through our content this morning, and then we'll transition into an ask me anything type of format. And so make sure you got all your questions that you want to have answered queued up, and we'll get started here. But first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. This is amazing. It's 2021. It's going to be a great year. So let's get started. So this is one of our videos in our How to Get Started as a Passive Investor series. And really what I try to do on these series is educate you guys about certain topics related to syndication and investing. And then again, as I said, open it up to an Ask Me Anything type format. So basically, what we're going to talk about today are the biggest myths of syndication and investing, or one of them actually. We're going to learn about the 3 secrets to success when investing passively. And then we're going to talk about the 4 tenets of conservative investing. So we've got a lot to tackle here, but I thought this was a good topic for us to kind of start off with for 2001. So if you haven't joined us before, welcome. I'm Whitney. We do these videos to help you break through some of the obstacles getting into syndication investing. So maybe you've tried investing in syndications before but got cold feet, or you actually invested in one but realized you made a mistake, or you just feel so overwhelmed by all the information out there that you just have not gotten started yet. Well, if this applies to you, you are in the right place. So let's go ahead and tackle one of our biggest myths. And this is one that we're going to dive into a lot today. One of the biggest lies that investors tell themselves about syndication investing is that they have no control. And this mindset keeps investors sidelined. And really, I'm going to crack this myth today. You as a limited partner investor in a syndication deal have an immense amount of control before you actually write a check into a deal. And let's talk about that. But if we haven't met each other before, I'm Whitney. Here's my crazy crew. We actually spent the month of December. My daughter's in online school this year. We spent the month of December in Sedona. So we got to hike and play and climb and bike. And it was a wonderful experience. But you know what allows me to do this is real estate investing, and more importantly, syndication investing. You see, my husband and I, well, actually myself, I started off investing in real estate in 2002, fixed and flipping and house hacking. And then my husband joined me in 2006. And then from there, we continued that fix and flipping and house hacking. And we just realized we had buckets of money coming in, but nothing consistent that we could really build a life off of. And then that's when we discovered rental real estate. Super funny. We were renters up until that time. We were like, oh, rental real estate. We actually got to rent out some of these properties in order to, bring in cash flow. So we did that. I scaled us up to a portfolio of about 30 rehab units, and then, realized I had enough cash flow coming in to where I could step back from my job and spend more time with our daughter. And my husband was like my biggest cheerleader up until that point in time. Then he was like, oh man, I want some of that. And my heart leapt and sank all at the same time. It leapt because I'm like, yay, he's on board. We are going to go full into real estate. And it sank because I realized, oh man, we got to get to about 80 projects. And so we had to find a better way. So we turned to multifamily investing. And really, we took, a two-pronged approach, an active approach and also a passive approach. And, with our passive approach, we joined Goodegg Investments a while back, or I did. And as Goodegg, we've actually, in just 2.5 years, actually really close to coming up on 3 years soon, we've had closed over 26 multifamily properties, 6,700 units under management, and an $800 million portfolio. So we have got a lot of things working in our favor here. But what I get to do every day is work with you guys, the investors. And so I work with over a pool of 700 verified investors, and we have a very high repeat investment rate. here at Goodegg. And these are just a few of the things that we were able to do in the past year. You know, even amidst COVID, we got to launch our podcast, publish our book, visit some of our projects that we have going on, meet with many of our operators, and then also you, our investors. So super fun year. Wish we had gotten to do a lot more of this, but we're looking forward to 2021. But let's just do a quick recap because I've been doing these webinars for almost a year now. So there's a ton of material out there. So if this is one of your first ones, I do record these videos. You know, just a quick disclaimer, they are for education only. So while you are more than welcome to ask me a legal, financial, or tax question, I am going to have to actually refer you back to your tax professional so you can figure out how it applies to your situation. But if you have something like that, feel free to drop in the chat box. You know, I'm happy to give opinions, but you know, just want to make sure that you take any of the information and that we put out here, especially if it's legal, financial, or tax advice, take it to your professional and find out how it applies specifically to your situation. But here's just a few of the topics we've tackled in the past few years. And the ones that I have up here are really the topics that if I were getting started for myself as a limited partner, I would focus on learning these top topics. You know, we dive deep into, you know, IRR numbers and, you know, some math and some, you know, crazy things that are going in. You know, eviction moratoriums. We do launch into some kind of topics outside of syndication investing, but I would really look for that recap email and look for these topics if you're starting out as syndicated in syndication investing and you really want to get a good base knowledge. So I'm going to leave this up here really quick for those people who want to grab a quick screenshot if they want to know, okay, what should I be looking for in these videos? Which video should I start with first? These are the ones I would start with first. All right. Let's dive into today's topic, right? It's the fresh new year, and let's start off with what we should be thinking about on how we can, when we're looking at controlling an investment, all right? Especially a passive investment. And there's really 3 secrets to this, okay? The first secret when we think about passive investing is you, as the passive investor, get to choose the operator, all right? You get to choose who you work with. Now, here's the mental shift that we have to make when we get into passive investing, especially if you've had your own personal rentals. And I had to do this myself, right? You know, I think whenever you're looking to build your portfolio of rentals, you're looking at the deal, you're looking at the numbers, and then you take that property, you put it with property management maybe, or maybe you manage it yourself, right? There's a lot of what you feel tangible control over that deal. When we move to syndication investing, we're no longer investing in the deal. We're looking for a business, an operator to invest in, right? So we need to kind of shift our thinking. The deal numbers are great. We're going to get to that point. But the most important thing that you need to look at is finding an operator that you know, love, and trust. And I'm going to go through some questions and things to look for when you're vetting an operator. You also want to make sure that they have an investment thesis that you can get behind, as well as that they are, you know, somebody that you can work with long term, that you want to be in business with for the term of the project, or possibly longer if you're going to do a 1031 exchange. Okay. It's shifting the mindset from investing in a deal to investing in a operating business. So when we're choosing that operator, we want to know a few things, right? I already mentioned we want to know what their investing philosophy or their investing philosophy is. What do they invest in? Do they invest in self-storage, mobile home parks, multifamily, right? Don't let the operator tell you what you should be investing in. Understand, I want to invest in multifamily, or I want to invest in self-storage. What will align with your portfolio? So you have to understand that and then go seek out that operator. All right. Obviously, are they competent, right? Can they run their business? Do they have a track record? Do they have performance? If they're an older team, what are their exits? If they're a newer team, what are their deals? What are their current projections? What are they doing well? Where are they struggling? Okay. If you want to understand, do they work with sophisticated or accredited investors? What's their investor pool, right? If you are vetting operators and you're a sophisticated investor and that operator only works with accredited investors, that's a problem. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're aligning with the right operator. Also, I highly suggest, right? Like, this is investing in business, right? Get references. Search on the internet, find out reviews about this business. You want to really understand who you're getting in business with. Also, when you talk to them on the phone, and yes, I always suggest people talk to the operator on the phone. Even if you're an accredited investor investing in a 506c deal, I highly suggest you jump on with the operator on the phone before you invest. Listen to how they respond to your questions and trust your gut. Listen to your gut. All right. So that's secret number one, choosing an operator. Secret number two, you as the limited partner get to choose the market you invest in. Now that does require you that you understand the markets. So how do we get an idea of what our good market is without being some data genius and having a wieldy spreadsheet? Well, here's some basic questions that you can ask, right? And the operator is going to put a market overview more than likely in the investment summary. Like when they have a deal out, there more than likely will be a synopsis of the market. But you yourself, you want to dig further, do your own due diligence, right? Double check those numbers in that investment summary, right? The investment summary is a marketing tool, right? That's what it is, okay? So make sure to double check everything. I used to work in a tech company, and we always had a motto: trust but verify. Right? Build trust with everybody, but always verify everybody's numbers. So we want to look for markets where the population is growing, incomes are growing, median house value is growing, rents are growing. I don't have that on here. Oh, median rent is affordable, but also you want to see where rents are growing. Crime is trending downwards, jobs are growing, and the industry is diversified. There is a good mixture. And even right now on COVID, I would even look to possibly push pause on any industries that are hospitality driven, gambling driven, and maybe even educational driven, like large colleges. Now, just as I say that, I am sure there's somebody on here going, well, wow, there's the opportunities to invest in those areas for when they come back. True. I'm more of a conservative investor. I like sleeping well at night, but you want to understand the job mixture of that market. We want to see incomes growing, rents affordable, unemployment rate is coming down and stabilized, poverty is stabilized and coming down. And I would also add 10 and 11 landlord-friendly markets, and also look where tax rates are going. Okay, you want to be in markets where taxes are favorable. All right. So essentially, this allows you, those questions alone, will allow you to move from having never underwritten a market before to allowing you to be more proficient in underwriting a market. So again, take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to actually back it up and allow you guys to take a screenshot of choose an operator. These are just some basic things that you should be asking every operator in every deal. Okay. Also, underwriting the market. What should you be looking at whenever you underwrite the market? Right. All right. Number 3. Now we get to the deal. Right. So you've chosen who your operator is going to be, and vicariously by that, the investment strategy. You put thought into that. You understand how it aligns with your portfolio. You've chosen the market. You know what markets you want to be in. Okay, think of it as a funnel, right? You're going to have maybe 10 operators, and maybe there's 3 markets you like Dallas, Tampa, and Charlotte, or the Carolinas. Now you're narrowing your markets down even further. Okay, so now you're just going to look for narrow your operator list in those markets. Now we're going to look at who has the right deal for you. And so I'm going to give you an underwriting tool that you can use. It's mine, so feel free to modify depending on what type of deal that you're investing in. But let's tackle that. When you're choosing your deal, Okay, again, take a screenshot of this. We want to understand the asset class. Is it class A? Is it class B? Is it class C? I love class B multifamily assets right now because they're they perform well in all environments. Okay, why? Because there's class compression there, right? When the market's on the downswing, we see a lot of downsizing from A into class B. When the market's on the upswing, we see a lot of upsizing from class C into class B. Okay, it doesn't mean that class B is not affected. It just means it's less affected because it's compressed. You want to understand how many units the deal is. I like staying about 100 units or more. 75 is about my cutoff on a syndicated deal, because you want to know that you have an element of scale there. Scale in rents, scale in operational efficiency, scale if you add additional streams of income. Okay. You want to know, and the larger the scale you have, the greater value you can push on that property. You want to understand what the internal rate of return is on the project. Okay, so there's a webinar all about the IRR. I'm not going to go deep on that here, but the internal rate of return takes into account when you get your money back on the deal, right? I can show you a nice shiny deal that yields 20 to 25%, and you're super happy with me. But if you don't get your money back for 15 to 20 years, maybe you don't like that. You've lost out on velocity of money. The internal rate of return is a good number to use to compare deal to deal because it actually takes into account the time of which you get your money back. Okay, we want to understand the lending on the deal. Is it recourse lending? Is it non-recourse lending? Is it interest-only payments? Is there an amortization period? So for us, we like non-recourse loans with the IO payment for at least the term of the deal. So if the deal is 5 years, we want to see a minimum of an IO payment for, for 5 years, and the option to keep by that IO period, keep that rate locked for another, maybe 2 or 3 years. We want to see a 30-year amortization rate on the deal. And then we don't want to have our balloon payment or our refi period kick in until like 10 or after. So, and there's other things that come into a deal, but again, we're staying in a very 30,000 foot view here. We already talked about this. How long is the interest rate fixed for? We want to see it fixed for at least the term of the deal, if not longer. What is the reversion cap rate? So now we're getting into like underwriting. So, let's see if we have like a market cap rate on one of our deals that's 4.5. I'm going to test you guys here on your cap rate knowledge. If the cap rate after 5 years goes to 5%, okay, we entered at 4.5%, the cap rate goes to 5% after 5 years. What happened in the market? Go to the chat box, let me know. Did the market get better or worse? A little bit of jeopardy here, guys. So if we enter the market at a 4.5% cap rate and the cap rate goes to 5%, did the market get better or worse? What do you guys think? No, wrong. Worse. Thank you, Jean. Yes, the market got worse. Okay, so this is great education. You guys need to understand this. So therefore, if the cap rate goes to 4%, the market got better. Well, we want to understand the spread, the entire sensitivity range, right? We are all hoping going into syndication deal that the market's going to get better. But what happens if the market gets worse? And what are the returns going to be there? Okay. And if we are happy with that sensitivity range, you are setting yourself up for success. So we want to understand that sensitivity analysis. And that should be in that investment summary as well. We also want to look on our deal, we want to look for our comps, our sales comps, okay, as well as our rental comps. So we want to see sales comps higher than our building. We also want to see rental comps higher than our building currently right now, right? We don't want to be buying the top dog in the market, right? We want to, especially if it's a value add project, we want to make sure there's a lot of room for us to grow, okay? That takes over number 9. What is the projected rent growth? Number 10, What is the projected vacancy on the project? We want to make sure that that operator is underwriting a realistic vacancy for the market. Now, guys, right now, I've seen a lot of deals, in 2019 where operators were underwriting maybe 3 to 5% vacancy. That in this market, I challenge whether it's conservative or not. Okay, we should be accounting for a greater vacancy in 2021, maybe into 2022, until we stabilize with this pandemic and the economic crisis. For maybe a doubling of whatever the market vacancy is, maybe even a tripling, right? We might not have physical vacancy, but we might have an economic vacancy on that property. Okay, so it's very important that you're understanding how, again, take a screenshot of this, how to underwrite these deals and ask yourself these questions. Okay, what is the asset class? How big is the unit? Is there scale here? What are the numbers? Equity multiple, what is happening with your money? What is happening with the internal rate of return? Underwrite the lending, underwrite, yes, thank you, Jean. Stress test vacancy, right? Like you want to understand, what the market vacancy is. There's what's happening in the market and there's what could happen, right? Make sure the deal still works with what could happen, what your worst case scenario is. All right. So let's transition to the 4 tenets of investing and kind of line some of these things up. So this really kind of speaks to our investment thesis here at Goodegg. For us, our number one tenet of investing is capital preservation, okay, right? So we just talked about all the things that you can control as an investor, the operator, the market, the deal that you go into. When you're looking at these elements control, you want to look at it through the lens of capital preservation, right? That's what you're doing, okay? Warren Buffett's rule number 1 of investing, don't lose money. Rule number 2 is see rule number 1, right? That's how important it is right now. Don't lose capital, okay? We want to make sure your capital is protected, okay? And we do this in a couple different ways. And I think I'm going to actually tackle that here in a second on all the different ways we preserve capital. But let's go through the 4 tenets. Number 2, cash flow, right? Is that project stabilized now to where it can produce cash flow? Cash is king. If the project is cash flowing, you can cover your expenses. You are less likely to have to sell in a down market, okay? Look for projects where it's cash flowing from day one and you're stacking these cards and you're investing in favor, all right? Now, I know everybody wants to see growth, the appreciation. Markets expand and contract all the time. We are in a real estate cycle right now, but you want to understand how that operator is going to be able to force the appreciation on the asset and not just let the market do all the work. Okay, so there's 3 levers of equity growth that the operator can pull. Number 1, they can capture what we call rent premiums, where the building is currently being rented now. After the rehab or a light remodel on the building, where rent's going to be? Okay, that's the rent spread, that's the rent premium. Okay, how can we add income with additional rents? What operational efficiencies can they capture on the building by reworking the profit and loss statement, vendor contracts, renegotiating property management? Okay, how can they lower the expenses? And then the 3rd lever is adding additional streams of income on the property. Can that operator add additional streams of income and supercharge that appreciation growth? Okay, those are all amazing tools to pull. And remember, this is a commercial asset. Okay, so it's very different than having like your like a small single family or excuse me, a single family property or a small multi, which are valued off a comparable sale. Okay, that's the power of multifamily investing, is that we can actually pull these levers, affect the net operating income, and control the appreciation on the asset. Okay, and then what are our tax benefits? Okay, this helps us keep the income on the property and potentially the profit tax-free, out of Uncle Sam's hands. Okay, but really I tee these up in these order. I would capital preservation, number 1, the main core tenet of conservative investing. Number 2, cash flow. 3, appreciation, and then 4, tax benefits. So I just want to speak just briefly on how we actually achieve these within Goodegg Investments. So capital preservation, And these are maybe things that you, as you compare operators, you want to understand, how do they run their business? Are they raising all of the operational reserves and the capital expenditure reserves, those things that they need to do the rehab? Are they raising all that at the beginning of the project? If they are, then any income that's coming in can be used to pay, distributions. Obviously, the expenses on the property, but also investor distributions. Okay, and it's protecting your original capital that you invested in the project. Again, number two, raising the operational reserves, the CapEx reserves, those also are allowing you to protect your cash flow as well. The other thing is capital preservation is by merely like, what type of investing strategy are you executing? If you go in a value add deal, you're probably going to be able to preserve your capital, like a light value add deal. Not a rehab, not a development, okay, but a light value add deal. You're probably going to be able to preserve your capital a lot better than you would if you went to a development deal, okay, where there's a lot more things that could go wrong with that business plan. Okay, so know yourself, know what your investing goals are. How do you protect the appreciation on the asset? We talked about that. How many levers can that operator pull to force appreciation on the asset, as opposed to waiting for cap rates to fall? Okay, that is also going to allow you to protect your investment. And then also tax benefits. Key question here: is the operator going to do two things? Are they going to do a cost segregation analysis? Thereby, when you do a cost segregation analysis, you actually are sending in an engineer to that building. They're breaking apart all the different parts of the building: doorknobs, hinges, countertops, carpet. Anything that would depreciate in 20 years or less, according to the IRS, we can fast forward to the first few years of the project. Okay, that helps you keep your cash flow tax free. All right. And then, potentially, depending on your tax situation, you might be able to unlock those losses against other forms of income. Also, second question is, does the operator actually intend to do a 1031 exchange at the end of the project? Okay, therefore, you can continue to keep your gain that you make in the project tax-free as well. Okay, if you guys want to dive deeper into this topic, I did a webinar on the tax factors of real estate. There we go into a few different strategies in order how to keep your gain tax-free. But those are the two questions I would ask any operator. Are they going to do a cost segregation analysis? And are they going to do a 1031 exchange? Okay. And key point, we're at the beginning of the year, we're recording this at the beginning of 2021, but when are they doing the cost segregation analysis, right? We want to know that as well. All right, so we've covered a ton of material, but I hope you understand that you guys have an immense amount of control whenever you invest in a syndication deal. You can choose the operator, the market, and the deal before you even fund your deal. You have an immense amount of control. And also, if you're looking through the lens of these 4 tenets of conservative investing as you are laying out your investment strategy, you actually can really affect the control of your investment. Quick question came in. I'm going to go ahead and answer this one. But everyone in the syndication has to be in the 1031. Actually, no. Not in this case. In the syndication deal, the way that our LLCs are structured, we only need about 65% in the LLC to stay together in order to do a 1031 exchange. So it does give people flexibility, should they want to exit, for sure. All right, so you guys, I'm right at 10:30. I'm going to go over a couple more things, but if you got any questions, now's the time to pop over to that chat box, type them in. And while you guys are typing it in, I just want you to let you know that we've got our Goodegg Investor Club. So if you want to see our deal flow, you've got to apply and be on the Goodegg Investor list. So go over there to apply. We'll walk you through all the different parts of the process on there at that website, goodegginvestments.com/invest. And the club is for anybody. Like if you're starting out, doing this on the side, never done a deal before, or maybe you're an investing pro, you're doing syndication and investing full time, and you have several deals under your belt, the Goodegg Investor Club is for you. And as always, I love, if you don't have any questions and you want to understand, more topics around syndication, I always ask people to jump over to the chat box as well and let me know what other topics you'd like to see covered. And if you need to jet, I want to say thank you so much for spending your time with me today. It is your most precious asset, and most precious resource. And you feel free to reach out to me here. And if you want to, if you're mostly your questions are around how do I get deal flow, make sure you go back to that goodegginvestments.com/invest page. All right, I'm going to jump over to the chat box here. Question, was this recorded? Yes, it was. Yes, I will be sending out the recording later today. And also in that recording replay list is a list of other webinars. It's not the full exhaustive list of all the webinars I've done, but some highlighted webinars for you to take a look at as well. I'm new to the Goodegg Investor Club. Are there current deals on site or will the new opportunities appear via email? So, we're talking about this in January 2021. We don't have a deal currently open at this second. We are in the negotiation stages on a few deals. So hopefully I'll have something here soon. But for everybody, no matter what time you're watching this webinar, all of our deal alerts come out via email. So you want to make sure that you're on the list, okay, in order to get those deals. All right, and I believe, are there deals in the pipeline you're considering? Yeah, we're constantly underwriting. Guys, it's like a sales funnel. If any of you are in sales, and I don't have our hard, fast conversion numbers. I should ask our analysts for those, but maybe we'll touch base with like 200, pick up 200 deals to take a look at. Actually run the numbers on say like 50 of them, seriously consider like 5 to 10 of them, and then, offer on a few of those. So it's definitely a funnel. So, we're constantly underwriting deals. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I am going to hang out here for a couple more minutes. If you guys have any more questions, love to answer them for you. If not, thank you so much and have an amazing day. We'll see you next week.